Hey, welcome to another episode of Southern Ohio Matters with host Gina Collinsworth. Gina Collinsworth is the Public Information Coordinator with the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission in Pike County. Today, we're going to be talking about economic development with two leaders in Southern Ohio, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome to another episode of Southern Ohio Matters with host Gina Collinsworth. Gina is the Public Information Coordinator with the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission. Gina, I always like your program.
Thanks.
You have interesting guests that come on and share a lot of really good information about what's happening in Southern Ohio.
It's always great to be with you because we have good news that you can use, and we share that out to everybody in our region. The Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission is all about community and economic development, transportation planning, and anything we can do in the region to help coordinate all the great things that are happening. So today's show is exciting, Patrick. I want to welcome to the show our first guest, and that is Clermont County Commissioner David Painter. Good afternoon, David.
Good afternoon, Gina. Thanks for having me on your program today.
I'm so excited to have you here because we have some really great news. I'm sure a lot of people out there have already heard, but I don't think you can ever talk about it enough. We have some great news in Clermont County, and it involves jobs. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. Well, here in Clermont County, we have just welcomed a new addition to our economic development strategy, and that is Nestle Purina, who has announced that they are going to build a brand new $550 million manufacturing facility here in Clermont County. Their first brand new greenfield construction job since 1975.
Wow, that's kind of a big deal.
It is a huge deal for Clermont County and a huge deal for the state of Ohio.
What's exciting, I think, about this project, David, is this has been a long time in the making. And what I really love to talk about on our program are some of the behind the scenes. The headlines are Purina's coming to Clermont County and that there are jobs. But you and I both know this has been a long time coming. So let's talk a little bit about how did this whole thing develop?
Well, let's just talk about that for a second. You know, counties don't make jobs. Governments don't make jobs. Businesses make jobs. You know, some years ago in the downturn of the market in 2008, you know, the commissioners before me recognized that instead of sitting on the laurels, they needed to be out front and see what can be done as far as economic development here in this county. And in 2016, they purchased 250 acres of property outside in Williamsburg Township. Just beyond where the Ford plant used to be on front wheel drive. Mm-hmm. And the thought there was to evaluate what manufacturing and economic development would look like in the future there. So they purchased this property with the thought to have a industrial complex there, or industrial park. You know, they could have chosen to sit on their laurels and realizing that, you know, to get out of that downturn market that we experienced in 2008, we had to make a place where competition and free market could take over so businesses could create jobs in an effort to provide what I would call jobs that would support a family in Clermont County. So that's how this project first started, was 2016 with the purchase of the property.
As your role as county commissioner, David, I think what you're highlighting is that there's a lot of planning for the future and forecasting that goes into it, because you're talking about 2008 when, you know, everyone was really hunkering down and the economy had kind of slowed down. But then because of that work that you put in years ago, in this year, whenever everything is really kind of hunkered down again because of coronavirus, but before that, you know, everything was going big guns in our economy, and people were really looking for ways to engage workers and grow their business. So Purina chose Clermont County, and it's going to be located where exactly?
It's actually going to be located right off of front wheel drive in Williamsburg Township. But not only does Williamsburg Township benefit from having this economic development project from Nestle Purina there, but also the village of Williamsburg and Williamsburg schools. Just talk about getting to there and why Purina would pick here in Clermont County. I've already told you that the property was bought for $4.9 million. When I came onto the Board of County Commissioners, my background is construction and engineering. Shovel-ready project sites are what works in the federal government. So we invested another $2.7 million in that acreage, and we went ahead and installed all of the underground utilities and all of the support infrastructure that was needed, so that when a company really looked at South Afton Industrial Park, they would be able to really get some synergistic effects there. In other words, they could come in and start cutting the ground and putting in a building and not having to go through all the prerequisites that it takes for you to get a construction project started. So we did the environmental impact statement up front. We did the archaeological surveys. We got everything ready. And that's what made that project site very, very attractive to Nestle Purina. One of the other things that made it very attractive was the fact that rural areas and people who are born and raised in a rural area have a really good work ethic. And Purina really, really like that. You know, they like the fact that most of the workers that will come from Clermont, Brown, and Adams grew up in rural communities. They're used to getting up early, and they're used to working until the job's done. And that had a lot to say about it.
I have always said our workforce and our people are one of the biggest assets we have. And by joining with government, you know, private-public partnership like that, I think of it like that. So even before Purina actually committed, you had already invested in the site and brought it up to the specs that were needed. I think there are not a lot of these, but it was certified a job site ready. What was the certification?
Ready Ohio.
Ready Ohio, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And it was actually the first job site certified in Southwest Ohio. And, you know, that made it easy for Ready Ohio and Ready Cincinnati to be able to move that right up to the forefront. You know, it was ready to go. It was shovel ready. A project could be started on immediately. And let's just talk about some of the numbers on that. You know, some of the numbers, obviously, I've told you, Nestle is investing $550 million in that project site. You know, two of the other, there is a joint economic development on that project site, as well as a TIF district. And also there were payments in lieu of taxes that were negotiated with the schools. One of the things that we learned very quickly in negotiating this project site was giving everyone that stake to make their own agreement with Nestle is really what worked. You know, obviously our group had to negotiate with them as far as the sale of the property. As I've told you, we had about $7.8 million of taxpayer money invested in that site getting it ready. We sold the property to two particular entities. One was Design Within Reach before this project, and now Nestle Purina, which netted back all of the taxpayers' money that had been invested, plus a profit, you know, a margin on that money. And then in addition, we passed that on to Williamsburg schools. When I say passed on, passed the decision-making process and negotiations. We stood and said if they couldn't come to an agreement, then we would pass on the deal. So we gave each entity the opportunity to negotiate. So that resulted in an income tax that'll be split between the village of Williamsburg and Williamsburg Township. It resulted in pilot payments to the school system there in Williamsburg. And it also resulted in the taxpayers receiving back their initial investment and then some. So now it's all about what it will actually, how in dollars it'll impact the entire community. We expect 800 to 1,200 construction workers to build this plant for about 2 years worth of construction. As you would imagine, that will result in, you know, motel rooms, apartments being rented, and obviously those construction workers placing some of that investment back into the community here. And then when it's completely done, it will result in 300 full-time employees that will work to actually support and operate the plant.
And when do they begin construction? It's coming up soon, I think.
They actually have already started. And actually, we gave them notice to proceed about 2 days before we made the announcement. So currently, right now, you can drive past the site. It has lots of yellow iron, large construction equipment, cutting the ground and getting ready for the installation.
It's very exciting. I'm really happy we're talking about the nuts and bolts, though, David, because one of my goals for our show is to pull back the curtain and kind of talk about the behind the scenes so other communities can replicate things that work. That's what I know that's something that's important to you as well.
Oh, you bet. We had to negotiate this project. I mean, these large companies, Nestle Purina has 21 of these plants. This will be their 22nd plant, I believe, here in the United States. This plant will build their number one brands. One of them you've probably seen is Purina One. That's a particular dog pet food that they produce, and many other of their famous brands will be produced there. But it's a competitive environment. I'd be the first one to tell you as a commissioner that when you're competing with Kentucky and you're competing with sites in Indiana and Michigan, you have to be willing to negotiate. Now, I'm not one that says that negotiations for business is a fair thing. I will say that it's within the legislation that allows it to be done. In this particular case, one of the attractions that came here was a 15-year tax abatement, which means that Nestle will, like I said, they will pay into the income tax. They will pay pilot payments, but they will be exempt from property tax for 15 years. And then at that time, at 15 years later, then obviously that TIF requirement will spring up, and then they will pay the associated property tax with the proper assessment of what this plan is worth. So, those are things that keep people like me up at night, when we're negotiating and trying to get to this point. I don't know exactly what the inputs of the community will be. I can tell you that they have a sister plant in Arizona, and it has been there for many years. And the commissioners say that it is a $54 million impact to their local economy. So I won't say that this one will be 54 million, but I will say that it will be something, greater than 20 million.
Right. And the investment itself has already been recouped, and so at this point it's all positive. It's pretty exciting, I think, for our whole region. And I know that everyone in our region that we deal with at Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission, we're all very excited for you and the project, and wish everyone the best success with it.
And before we leave here, this is part of the Appalachian Opportunity Zone that you're aware of. There are 14 opportunity zones from Cincinnati to Bridgeport, West Virginia. And this particular project is moving the economy of Cincinnati, or connecting the economy to Cincinnati, not only with the eastern side of Clermont County, but with places like Mount Orb, Brown County, Adams County, and right on up, and even where you're at there in Ports. So
that's right.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. That opportunity corridor, we call it, Route 32. Everything that happens in a good way can just basically keep spreading to the east. And I feel like there are a lot of workers in Ohio. It's documented that a lot of our workers drive 30 to 60 minutes to find a job, so if it happens in Clermont County, I know there will be a lot of great effects for all the surrounding areas. So it's pretty exciting. And I know my dog is excited about this news as well.
And mine likewise, and many, many others.
David Painter, County Commissioner for Clermont County, thank you so much for taking time with us today.
Oh, thanks for having us. And, I would tell if any of the viewers out there are interested in employment with Purina, they can check their website right now, and they are taking applications. So lots of manufacturing jobs and lots of professional support jobs there also. So thanks so much for having me.
Great news. Thank you, David. I liked what David said about the work ethic of the people of Appalachia. We know how to work hard, and we have that value system of, sticking with it. We've got stick-with-itness.
Gina, you always have really good guests that come on talking about the economic development. And, since we were talking about the industrial park, you brought in another guest who's going to expand on what she has been doing in her company.
That's right, Patrick. What a great show we have lined up today. I always love to have guests on the show to talk about the good news you can use in our region. So Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission, the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission serves 12 counties in Ohio. So we just spoke with David Painter from Clermont County. He's in the very far western edge of our region. Now we're going to move a little closer to the middle and go to Adams County. And I'd like to welcome to the show Adams County Economic Development Director, Holly Johnson. Hi, Holly. How are you today?
Hey, I'm really good, thank you.
Thanks, Holly, for taking time to be on the show. You know, I love talking to you about the projects that you've got going in Adams County. And in your role as the Economic Development Director, before we start with some of the projects, I just want to know, what do you love about your job and how long have you been doing it?
Well, what I love about my job is I love to be able to help my neighbors, to be able to make Adams County a little bit better. And so that's probably my favorite thing to do. And just to know that I've made a positive impact.
There's a lot of positive impact going on in Adams County. You and I both talk about it in our role. We work together some through projects with the OVRDC where I work. But what I wanted to talk with you about earlier in the show today, we had David Painter from Clermont County, the commissioner there, and they were talking about a big announcement with Purina that's coming to Clermont to build a factory, and we talked about the South Afton Industrial Park. So which leads me into my question with you. Adams County also has an industrial park. It's Winchester Industrial Park. Is that right?
Correct. We have 60 available acres that are there right now. And so this is the beginning of it that we have, the 60 acres, and we're getting ready to put all of the infrastructure in place to that industrial park.
So that is a great point you make, and David kind of mentioned it as well. The whole strategy is to invest dollars in the actual acreage to get it to a certain level of infrastructure to make it attractive to industry to come in. Is that how that works, Holly?
That's easier said than done. Let me start with that. It's a lot of work that we do, but you want to have shovel-ready sites. You want to be able to have an industry to be able to make 3 clicks on a computer and they're ready to move towards your site. That's what we want them to be able to have. We are doing water, we're doing sewer, we're doing access road, broadband, and gas expansion. $30 million to make that site shovel ready.
Wow. So that would mean a lot of partnering with federal and maybe even state and local dollars to bring that infrastructure to the site. You mentioned broadband, and I wonder if a lot of people out there realize that broadband is part of the infrastructure now.
Yeah, it's going to end up being about $600,000 worth of infrastructure into that package. We have about 6 miles, and it's about $80,000 a mile to run that line, that T1 line to that site.
Wow, but that should make it very attractive to industry, I would think.
Yes. Yeah, we're doing the water line itself is about a 12-inch water line to come down 32, and it's about $3 million. The new regional sewer plant that will be placed out on 32 will be about $7 million. And with the planning and design, it'll be about 8.5. Access road will be about $4.5 million. And then we have our broadband, and then the gas expansion will be about $15 million.
What I think is so interesting about having both of you on this show today is David's talking about the end of an industrial park project where you start to have people moving in, and your project in Winchester in Adams County is actually at the beginning stages, and it's really great, I think, for people to understand all that goes into these kinds of development deals. I mean, it could be years before it's ready. When do you think that you'll be able to start working on that development?
Well, we're working on it right now, but you're looking for a shovel-ready site to be able to have, now I'm going to say this very proudly, there'll be about 500 acres around that site that will be shovel-ready within the next 5 years.
Wow.
So that is, it'll be what State Route 32 is actually designed for. We'll be able to use that highway for that.
So when you talk about sites, there's one other great thing happening, or more than one, I should say, but one we want to talk about today that really goes well with industrial sites, and that's workforce development. So let's talk about the Adams County Training Center. I think that's a great project.
Well, it is, these go hand in glove. These two, the Workforce Training Center and the industrial site, because you can have an industrial site, but if you don't have a trained, skilled workforce, you can't market that industrial site. So that was our goal, was to be able to do that. And I need to say that both of these, Winchester Industrial Site and Adams County Training Center, are both done in support with the Adams County Board of Commissioners and our Adams County CIC, which is the Community Improvement Corporation. These groups are proactive and supportive of these. And so with that being said, the Board of County Commissioners bought a grocery store that was being closed here in the village of West Union. And at the time of its closure, we didn't want it to be a brownfield site. So the board bought it, and we started to create it as our Adams County Adult Training Center. So this will be a post-secondary education facility for in-demand Ohio jobs for adults here in Adams County. Because right now, if an industry comes in, I have to say, well, I can send you to school in Maysville, Kentucky. I can get your employees trained. Now we're going to be able to say, we can train them right here in Adams County for you. So you're going to have local grown businesses, local grown workforce, and it's going to be a wonderful, once it's done. It's 1,500 square feet. It's going to be all in-demand jobs. Right now there is LPN and nursing scheduled for there, phlebotomy, EMS, all healthcare related fields there, CNC robotics, welding, IT classes, and we have a little bit of room for other classes to happen in between there.
That is such a great project. Tell me a little bit about Adams County. Like, what do you have as your main industry? What are some of the leading manufacturers or job sites, that are up and running right now in Adams County? What do they do?
Well, we are very blessed and fortunate to have the GE People's Test operation. So that is a wonderful facility. They have about 350 employees out there. And they do research and development for engines. They build engines and for Boeing, and they do a lot of great things out there. So, and that's, average wage starts out there about $65,000 a year. So, if we could do FCC compliance with our engines in our adult training facility, we could train their mechanics for GE out there. So these are goals that we have to be able to help them. We have Columbus Industries, we have Bessie, we have lots of manufacturing that we have, but we don't have any food production. So that's our goal, is to be able to get that food production in here.
That's what Jackson County's got happening right now, and Vinton County with Geno's and Belicio Foods, don't they?
Absolutely. But when Purina comes looking again, we're gonna be looking pretty good. So
you made a great point. David Painter did mention how it is competitive. They're job shovel, job ready sites. There's not a lot of them, so you will definitely have a competitive advantage in Adams County once Winchester Industrial Park is up and running. That's pretty exciting. So who all's instrumental in projects like this, Holly? Who do you work with on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I work with federal, state, and all local officials also too when it comes to those. When it comes to, we work with Jobs Ohio, we work with OVRDC. There is no stone unturned when it comes to trying to put together a financial package for any of our industry that we're doing or any of our deals that we do here in the office.
So I always like to ask my guests, OVRDC is all about regional development and coordination in the region. So as someone who is working in Adams County on economic development, what do you think is the biggest challenge in our region? What are the things we need to be working on together?
Regionally, I think we need to natural gas is a huge void that all of us in our region that we have. I think some of the other things is I think we need to be competitive throughout the state, and we need to be locking arms and working a little closer together as a region. But with offices like OVRDC, you guys put us all together in a room. And so we all work together because If Clermont County wins, Adams County wins. If Adams County wins, Scioto County wins. That's the way that we have to look at it, because those 300 employees that David Painter's going to need down there for that business, some of those guys are going to come from Adams County and some of our workforce, and we're okay with that. You know, I mean, we have a highway. It links us all together, and that's exactly what we need to do, because when we all work together, we are stronger.
What a great point you make. Holly Johnson with the Adams County Economic Development Department. You are the director, executive director, shall I say, number one, numero uno.
Well, you know, we have Amanda works in here in the office with us, and like I said, you know, we're two in an office, but we have a very we have a great board of county commissioners right now. We have a wonderful CIC board, and we work with some really great people that are really being proactive.
And you made that point. It's all about us all working together for the region, and it's exciting to have you on the show to talk about Adams County and also the rest of the region, what we all are working toward. It's great to have you, Holly. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much.
You know, I've met Holly on several occasions, and she's always been one of those individuals who really loves collaboration, really loves working together. She is, in some cases, Miss Adams County.
Hey, I tell you, positivity is important in our region, and Holly has such a positive energy about her. You know, it just makes you want to work with her and makes you want to feel positive about the area. So good news you can use with Holly Johnson in Adams County, Patrick.
One of my favorite parts in your program is the shout out.
I love to do the shout out, Patrick, because, you know, we have so many wonderful people in our region who are doing good things every day. And I don't think they get the recognition always. We talk about the bad news, but we like to talk about good news here on our show. So our shout out today, I want to say a heartfelt thank you to all of our medical workers who are out there battling COVID. We have been battling this personally by trying to wear our face coverings, and now we have a curfew at 10 o'clock. And everyone out there, I encourage you, please consider all of our healthcare workers who have been battling on the front lines, and now we have hospitals that are at capacity. People are really struggling right now, and no one more than our medical people. And I just want to shout out to you out there. Thank you so much for what you're doing to help others, and how selfless you're being with your expertise in the medical profession to go to work every day and try to make a difference and help keep people alive. It's a serious note here to end the show, but I can't say it enough. Thank you to our medical workers for all that you do.
Hey, we're talking with Gina Collinsworth. Gina Collinsworth is the Public Information Coordinator with the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission, located in Pike County, which serves 12 Southern Ohio counties.